OnlyHairs Backroom Chat, the shit that you wish the hair industry talked more about. I'm your host, Lex, and this is episode 4. But before we start, a little disclaimer. If you get easily offended, then this probably isn't for you, because we get real, we get honest, and we get a little bit sweary. So on today's episode, we have the one and only Stuart Bane, at Stuart Bane Color on Instagram. And he is an absolute lord. Oh my God, I'm so honored to have him on the show. He has traveled all over the world doing educating, stage shows, photo shoots. He had a shoot with Elle magazine in China. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, he's an absolute lord, and I'm keen to just pick his brain on fashion weeks, photo shoots. He's just recently gone freelance, so I'm going to get the inside scoop about that. So without further ado, let's bring on in Stuart.
Can you hear me?
Hello, yes, how are you?
I'm very well, doll. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so proud of Sheridan. Oh my God,
I know.
didn't finish so well.
I know. I just felt for her. She was just like carrying on regardless. I loved it.
Oh, when the audio cut out. Oh my God, that was so funny.
I know.
So how are you going?
I'm very well, babe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'm not in lockdown, so I'm doing great.
I know you're doing well in this country at the minute, I tell you.
But yeah, how is lockdown treating you? All right?
It's kind of fine. It's given me time to just kind of get shit together, like get education together, get my business side of stuff together. Because I suppose being quite new to freelancing, all of that stuff I just kind of put to the side. So it was actually perfect timing with end of financial year and all that kind of stuff to get kind of like organized. So I am running out of tasks to do now though, so I'm kind of ready to get out of lockdown. But yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, I see you have been doing lots of admin work and lots of cooking.
I know, it's like, and it's just because my boyfriend's working from home as well, I feel like the need to do stuff, like I can't just lie on the sofa. Like normally I would just like get through Netflix and stuff like that, but I kind of feel guilty that he's still working. So I'm like, okay, I'll just bake you cookies and then you'll forgive me for being lazy.
He's like giving you the guilt trip, but he's not giving you the guilt trip at the same time.
I'm also like, I'm not good at, like, even when I'm at work, I'm not good at just kind of like sitting around. I have to just do stuff, because otherwise I just start I just start going crazy. Like my mental health, I'm just like, oh. So yeah, I have to kind of feel like I've achieved something in the day, whether it's baking a cookie or trying to like read some sort of form. Like, but yeah, very limited. I'm running out of tasks to do. So like stuff like this is great to kind of keep me actually occupied.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, nice. So good. I'm not gonna lie, I've done, like, last night I did a fair bit of research for planning for today. Holy fuck, Stuart. If I wasn't already impressed with you before.
What did you dig up on me?
Just like, you've traveled literally fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Doing shows, doing education, like.
It's kind of crazy because, I mean, I think a lot of us suffer from kind of the whole imposter syndrome thing, and you always feel like you should be doing more and all this kind of stuff. But when you do allow yourself kind of time to look back and
reflect
and kind of think about it, it's pretty insane. I mean, there's not many careers I don't think that you can go through and have the kind of like crazy experiences that you do in hair. You know what I mean? Like it is crazy. I mean, some of the stories, some of the things that have happened, you forget about them because you're constantly thinking about what's next. You know what I mean? Like you don't really ever have that kind of perspective back. But yeah, it's been a bit of a ride.
Been a wild ride.
Oh, tell me.
This is what I wanted to start off with. So what is your biggest hair fuck up?
There's been a few.
I want to ask this to everyone because it gets, no matter where you are in your career, it just kind of makes everyone feel like we're human,
Okay, so there's probably two. So one was an apprentice mixed up blue booster instead of like a pearly ash acidic glaze. So it was supposed to be like basically ash blonde, and I was like, just put it on for 10 minutes and I'll come and check it. I went over and it was like navy blue, and I was like,
oh, no.
what is that? So I was like, can I just have it, like, can you just rinse that and come and grab me in the colour room? And then I was like, what did you put on it? And he was like, oh, stroke 1.8. And I was like, that's definitely not, like, that's not.
Oh
And then
my
he was like, oh,
gosh.
it was like 0.88. And I was like, okay, great. So yeah, that wasn't ideal. But then the second one was in Paris. We did the Margiela show, and we were taking one of the models. Like, she had this box bob. It was amazing. And we were
Nice. So French.
Eugene's team was like, okay, we're gonna make it bright like fire engine red, and it was this kind of like washed out copper. So I was like, they were like, yeah, we're gonna make it bright red. So I was like, yeah, great. So I'm coloring it, but like backstage, like in my element. And then the model was like, what are you doing? Like, you're making it brighter orange, right? And I was like, no, we're making it like fire engine red. So anyway, we send her and the thing, and then we get a call from her agent saying that they thought we were only going to take it a brighter copper, like not bright red. And then she had to be copper for the next show, for the Dries Van Noten show. So literally, me and one of the other guys had to go in a cab in Paris with this model. She had, like, we had bleach on her hair while she was doing the walkthrough for the next show, and we had to, like, it was just a complete miscommunication. Like, we made her hair fire engine red, and it was supposed to be copper. So yeah, that was a bit of a fuck up. But to be fair, that
But I
wasn't my
mean,
fault.
like, that's not even that bad.
No, but it was like
that's
it
a
was
pretty
bit
easy fix.
well, not when you've got it in between shows and like she's
Oh
doing a
yeah,
walkthrough.
true.
She's doing a walkthrough. You've got Sam at night just laughing at you, being like, yeah, like, can you just get rid of that? And I was like, oh, sure.
I did see a photo of you and Sam McKnight. I was actually in the Hair.Mastered
Oh, were
thing.
you?
Yeah, I
Ah.
was.
Were you in
I saw
London
the
at the time?
tag on the Instagram. No, I was still in Australia. It was just before I'd left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
It
cool.
was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? I don't feel like I used that to its most, like, its biggest potential, to be honest. I was a bit like, I don't know. I was like, I don't really
Yeah, I
get
don't think
half
I
of
did
these
either.
concepts. What's your
Nice.
biggest fuck up?
Oh, geez. See, this is the thing. Like, I keep asking this question, but then every single episode, I'm going to be saying one. So then we'll, 20 episodes in, I'm going to look like I'm a fucking hopeless hairdresser. But
oh, come on. Everyone has
always...
a fuck up. I reckon you have one a week. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what is my biggest, another one? What is another one? I think I've done the same kind of thing. Like, I've picked up like the wrong tube.
Yeah, everyone's done it.
Like, I'll be working in a really, really busy salon and I've put my tubes to the side and one of the girls has picked up mine and put it somewhere else. So I've gone and grabbed one that I thought it was it, put it in there. I think it was on a blonde and I mixed up like a bright copper and I put it on there and I was like, we wanted like a golden blonde, right?
And you kind of know halfway through as well, like, you're just like, this doesn't look like it's oxidizing properly. I remember actually one of the girls did it to Renya in my last salon. She was like, what was that? I was like, why is Renya's roots going dark? And she was like, what? And then
Renya herself.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, actually, that's a funny one. Is that I can't remember who had posted it. I think it was like the what is her name now on Instagram? The Hair Artistry or something. And she'd posted up on TikTok saying about how she'd fucked up someone's hair. And she was like, oh, I put someone's roots on and I missed an entire panel. And I'm like, oh, I've done that too, but with a high lift tint.
I did it with a scalp bleach. I left out the hairline. I left out the hairline to reapply it. And then I was running behind. So one of the other girls, I was like, babe, can you just start reapplying that scalp bleach for me? So she reapplied it, but then she lifted out the hairline. And I was like, why did you leave it? So I rinsed it. And then I was like, why is the hairline brown? And I was like, babe, why did you not put the hairline in? And she was like, no, I thought you were just leaving that out. And I was like, why would I leave the hairline out of a scalp bleach? Like a reverse.
I mean, you never know. I mean, if it was recently, you'd be just thinking that you're doing like a 90s thing and you're going to be putting a dark copper on the end.
It definitely
wasn't the one. It wasn't it. That's so funny.
I love the fact that everyone's had these like dodgy experiences though.
But we all do, and that's the thing. And I feel like that's the kind of shitty thing about social media is because everyone just puts out all the great stuff about it.
Yeah.
You know, we're all of these amazing artists and we never fuck up, but really we always fuck up.
To be fair though, I don't think any of my clients have realized that anything's gone wrong.
Same.
Sorry,
Just
if
like,
any of
oh
you are
yeah, I'm just
watching
gonna do
that.
this extra step. But to be honest though, like now I'm like further into my career. Like I'm going in 17 years now. Holy shit, I'm getting old.
You don't look old enough though.
Thank you. Well, I just had some work done yesterday, so
I know, I saw how fresh.
so fresh. I did wake up this morning though. My lips were like looking a little bit more plumper than what they usually do, and not like what they were last night. And I was like, holy fuck! But no, looking very fresh.
I know.
Very impressed.
So dewy.
So dewy. I think that's just the North Queensland humidity too, though.
That'll do.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked with Eugene Solomon. I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
what was that like?
It was insane. So I've known Eugene. So before I kind of went out, so I was working for Wella for quite a few years as a brand ambassador. So obviously Eugene being the global ambassador for them and their kind of like creative director. I crossed paths with him a few times when I was in London. But then when I came to work in Australia, Ren has a really good relationship with Eugene. They're really good friends. So doing kind of like going over to Paris and New York and actually like working on his team was insane. And I've assisted him on shoots as well. He's just like, I mean, real visionaries like that. It's money can't buy experience, you know what I mean? Like really seeing
Honestly.
people delving into just kind of how they, and really not looking at it as hair. Like he has this real kind of vision of using different textiles and kind of like really you know, pushing the boundaries, I suppose, but still with this element of beauty. Like it's, I don't know, there's not many people I don't think that do that very well. I think it either goes a bit too kind of crafty, you know what I mean? Whereas he's like, he always has that like it's always stunning. So yeah, it's to get an up close insight into that is just next level.
That's unreal. Yeah, because I know a few people I know, not I know, but I've seen, I guess, just kind of push it a little bit too far. And I'm like, I'm guilty of it, I think. Like I've tried to be really out of the box and I'm kind of like, okay, I've gone too far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's always that sense of edit, right? Like I think that there's always, as creators, we always have a million ideas. I think it's just like sometimes it's, and I think that's the editorial world is very good at that. You know, it's like really what is the champion? I mean, there's always going to be one hero. It's either going to be the hair or the makeup, or, you know, like in some real extreme editorials, everything will be full on, you know, like, if you look at shows like Margiela and stuff, everything is intense. Like the clothes are intense, the makeup is intense. I mean, they have 3 days for fittings for Margiela because every girl will, or every guy will have a different look. So like a different, you know, like most fashion shows, there's 1 or 2 makeup looks, 1 or 2 hair looks. Whereas for shows like Margiela, there is a different look for every girl. So they have 3 days of, like, Pat McGrath will do the makeup, Eugene will do the team, and it is like, I mean, it is long days. You'll be there till kind of 3 a.m. You know, because when you've got such a high pressure and someone like John Galliano, who is like an absolute genius, there is, you know, there's a kind of specific, and it's like it's details. It really is like details of what they want to kind of get out there and what they want to showcase. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Oh my god! You're name dropping, but I'm just like, thank you so fucking much for doing this chat today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Like I kind of love it because it's also for me, you know, like when you get in a bit of a hole in lockdown as well, to kind of come out and feel about. I mean, I had Lyndall Salmon message me the other day actually, and she was like, I had the best memory this morning. She was like, do you remember when we went to Nobu in London with Eugene? And she was like, I think that was the first time I spoke to you, and I thought that you were going to be like a bit of a celebrity and a bit up yourself, but like we just had the best night. And I was like, why? Like, did you think that? She was like, you know, you're with Renya, and I was like, yeah, like no, I don't think we just had the best night. And I was like, you know, things like that, they do really lift your spirits when you're kind of in a bit of a funk, like not really being able to have a creative outlet. So
yeah. I mean,
so
that's
good.
kind of why I started OnlyHairs as well, because like I was like had my shoulder injury, so I couldn't do hair. So I'm like, I need to do something that if this does happen again, if I do have an injury, I still have a creative outlet that I can like kind of dive into.
Yeah, I think you have to, and I think what I love about OnlyHairs as well is like your mantras and stuff of they're really on point, and I think they will resonate with a lot of people because you know, in that retrospective of what kind of what I've been through. I mean, I've been in Australia for 8 years, and I'd probably say in those last, I've been hairdressing for 20 years. I'd probably say in the last 8 years, I've really struggled with my confidence as a hairdresser, and I think I think it's clients' expectations, and also I was working within a very prestigious salon, so the expectations of being color director there, obviously there's a lot of pressure, but I think also with social media and comparison, and you know, like even when you have all of these experiences, you still have that element of doubt, and I think that all those kind of mantras that you say, I think they will resonate with people, and I think there is that kind of real sense of engagement, and that's what I love about kind of lockdown as well, is that even talking to Lyndall, the sense of community within the hair industry, you know what I mean? Like we're all really like everybody's kind of having a bit of a shit show at the moment, and we're all kind of lifting each other up and doing these lives and doing these chats, and it's just like, you know, there's not many industries, I don't think, that you really get that. You don't get that kind of you know, you're just chatting to people and bouncing ideas off of each other, and I think it's I think we are pretty lucky to be kind of in an industry that we are.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for saying that too, because that's definitely what the aim for it, the whole thing of OnlyHairs is a bit more of a sense of community, even though like I think with, you know, especially with the RockStar camp, we've got a community there. And like when you're working with a brand, it is nice to have that community and meeting artists within the brand that you're working with. But I think like even before, when I was, you know, with PulpRiot or with B3 or with all these brands that I'm with now, which is thank God that I'm with them. Before then, I never felt like a sense of community. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you do. And again, going back to in the UK, I was very much within the hair world, the hair industry. So I was doing a lot of education and doing a lot of kind of shoots and stuff like that. So I was kind of connected to, and also geographically, you've got to understand that the UK is a much smaller country. So we would be doing hair tours
I know.
exactly. You'd know all well. So
I loved it. It's great.
The industry there is very small in terms of, you know, you've got a lot of amazing people, but you would have real connection there. And especially because I was so integrated within that hair world, like I was doing a lot of hair shows, I was doing a lot of hair shoots. So definitely. And then I came here and you know, working within a brand here as well is very different too, because they don't have that sense, you know, and I don't think they really do big hair shows or anything anymore either.
No.
So it's really changed, and it's kind of changed my perspective that the whole online community is huge. And you know, that's a big reason that I did RockStar as well, is because digitally, and you know, I said this within the course as well. Digitally, I find it quite hard to teach digitally, and I think I started my truths on Instagram, where it's that, you know, and you do a bit about it yourself, where it's debunking myths, or you know, like clients having bad experiences because they've been lied to by hairdressers, let's be honest, like so it's I engage in that respect, but I'm very tactile. I need to be with people. I need to kind of, so it's funny how I'm trying to retrain, and especially when you can't have that, especially when it's taken away, right? Like you have to engage in digital. And to be honest, that's a big part. It's where the industry is going. You know, I think that there's going to be a big split. People will still want hands-on education, but you have to change. You have to adapt, and that's the industry for you. I mean, if you get complacent, then you're just going to sit and rot. So I really enjoyed RockStar Camp, and it you know, I think we all went on that journey together. It was a lot of pressure to put on us, but you know, it did. We all went through it together. We all survived, you know, and it's
Yeah.
it was
I
awesome.
mean, personally for me, it wasn't as like hardcore as when, you know, like Rita came to England. Rita, for everyone watching at home, is the international educator for PulpRiot hair. And she came to England and she tore us apart.
Yeah.
Like
She
really
doesn't
bad. Like
she doesn't mess around, does she? She's like,
she
you
does
know,
not mess around. Like there was probably 15 of us and she had like 13 of us bawling our eyes out.
yeah. It's
In a
so
great way though. She made us find ourselves kind of thing.
I think it's that vulnerability and that kind of, you know what I mean, like putting yourself on the line, getting yourself out of your comfort zone. And to be completely honest, I knew that I was gonna, like, I hate recording myself. I hate
Really?
I've done so many presentation skills, you know, as being a platform artist for brands. They encourage you to do presentation skills and stuff like that. Like, I'm a gay sarcastic Brit, you know, like it doesn't come, like, it comes across as like I'm miserable, or like I'm not very like when I'm having a conversation with somebody, it's fine. But when there's a one-way camera where I'm just talking to camera, everybody, like Rita said it, like I did training with Dennis Langford here. Everyone's like, you know, you're telling us how excited you are, but you couldn't sound any less excited. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like this is just my voice. I can't change that.
I think that's just kind of like the British humor though, too, though. It's very dry and it's very
And I
just
do
kind
it
of,
on,
yeah, it
I
is
do it
how
on
it
my
is.
stories as well. Like I just I kind of take the piss, and I can't. It's just who you are, and if you try and second guess that, or if you try and be, like, I'm never going to be one of these people that's like talking to camera and just like, you know, you do it amazingly because you're so engaging. But for me, I would just look like an absolute bitch. You know what I mean? I'd just be like, oh, who's that? Who's that shady
To
gay
be
dude?
honest with you, I mean, to be honest with you, I did start off quite like straightforward and really blunt. I think that was just because of like the salon I was working for down in Brisbane at the time, and like my boss that I had, she was an absolute prick, just to put it lightly.
Is she watching? Hello.
No, she definitely wouldn't be watching this. Oh, who knows? She might be. But
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly. Who cares?
yeah. So for a while there, because I don't know, I think it might be just like your conditioning or something. Maybe like being around such a person, or you know, the way it is, you just become like that as well. So it actually took me a fair bit to kind of come out again to like the hairdressing world with my stupid self, basically.
No, but I think there's nothing stupid about being authentic, and I think that everybody is
Yeah.
gonna, like, for me to be like that, to try and be, you know what I mean, like high energy, like watching Sheridan today, like she is so authentic and real. You know what I mean? Like she couldn't,
Yeah.
like her and me presenting the same thing, like would have two completely different styles of doing it, but like that's why she's brilliant, and that's why everybody is so engaged with her. And it's like, it just wouldn't be, if I tried to do that, it would be, you know. And that's what I love about Pulp as well, is that,
Yeah.
you know, they really don't, they encourage you to be who you are. Like it's not, you know, and working with brands before, where it's like, you know, you have to color this certain way, or you have to do it, you know, I can't buy into that. And I think that
Yeah.
people, and that's a big thing with my education as well, is that I'm anything, like I'm completely authentic. There's nothing that I don't hide anything. And you know, I'm I just have a bit of banter, and I don't think it's not, I don't want to be up there putting myself on a pedestal and saying that I'm, you know, like I'm some god, because that's bullshit. There's always someone better than you. There's always someone like getting a
Yeah.
better result than you. So it's like, all I want to do is teach people a few tricks that I picked up along the way, and do it in a real, like, I don't do big 10-hour color transformations. Like, I used to do them, I used to put them on the gram because it would get a lot of like engagement and reaction. But I
Yeah.
also don't want to be doing them. Like, I'm doing clients 4 days a week. I don't want to be doing 10-hour transformations. Like, I'm not going to make the money on them. I'm not going to, you know, like, it's not what my clients want.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like that is where everybody needs to be. I think you just need to be true to what you're doing, and quite often, even on social media, I'll feel like, oh, I really need to post something a bit more commercial because all of my stuff is like, you know, colorful or whatever on my grid. I need to break it up with the blonde. And then like, but you know, it is what it is. Like, why if I haven't got a blonde to post, why am I? And it's just like, you know, I need to get more traction. And then that's another thing with social media is there's so many insanely amazing hairdressers out there that don't have a following. And it's like brands now that are looking more at that, are looking more at a hair influencer kind of thing. I mean, I just struggle with that, and that's not what I aspire to. Like, I couldn't give a toss about how many followers I've got. Like, as long as my followers are buying into what I'm doing, and you know, like,
they truly support you, basically.
And now my social media is, and that's the thing. My social media now is more education focused. I'm not directing it at clients. I'm directing it at hairdressers that want to kind of learn. So there's more of that aspect of, there is going to be a bit more creative stuff because also I do super commercial hair coloring, but there's so many people out there that are doing you know, really commercial coloring. I don't want to compete with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that do fundamental stuff. You know, you've got Q Academy, you've got Edwards and Co, you've got, you know, Michael Kelly's insane at doing and stuff like that. Like, why am I going to then go? And also, they've got it all digitally. Why do I want to compete with that? Why would I not just teach what I do? You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's play to your strengths, and I think that's the hardest thing to do, because as hairdressers, we actually need to determine what we think our strengths are and kind of believe in
I think a lot of it with social media too, like, you have to really find your niche and because everyone, I feel like the way social media is going now is that you get a more of a following when you are your authentic self, not just like you're putting out just what everyone expects you to put out. Do you know what I mean? And I'm definitely guilty of doing that for sure. Like, posting out and saying, like, putting captions of what people expect that's supposed to be good. And I never got that much traction, but now I'm kind of rebuilding it and making it more like, this is what I fucking love doing, and I'm putting it out because that's what I fucking love, you know?
Yeah. And that's your brand at the end of the day. Like, what you put out is what you're going to attract. And I think that's, can you hear me?
My laptop is going right now. It's been like flashing at me. Is it flashing to you, or is it okay?
No, you're all good.
Okay, sweet. No, let's ignore it then.
It's just having a little moment.
If it's not one thing, it's another thing. Oh my god.
Exactly. It's just like Sheridan's little moment that she had with the sound out. It's all part of the process, right?
Yeah, totally.
But no, I think everybody has that battle with social media. It just like I say, I think the kind of trouble that I have is brands and people wanting to push a following or push engagement and kind of like curating your engagement. Do you know what I mean? Like, telling you that you have to post this, or you have to get a certain amount of traction or whatever in order to be booked. I'm just like, that kind of falls short for me. Like, I don't buy it. And that's, to be honest, that's why I had a big kind of step away from working for a big salon, working for, you know, like big manufacturers. And even with Pulp, I'm like, I need the freedom to be able to do what I want to do. I don't want to be dictated to. I want the confidence to be able to do what I love without somebody telling me that, like, I have to promote something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's just not my jam. It doesn't fuel me.
For sure. Yeah, and I've got that even with, like, you know, a couple of brands that I'm, you know, associated with now, and I'm like, it is a lot of pressure. And I think that's kind of like what was dictating a lot of my mental health as well, because I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to get it because I've got to post this times a week and that many times a week and blah blah blah. So I've had to actually write them in like an email and be like, look, this is just fucking too much. Like, it's just too much with working a full column and trying to be, you know, a freelancer and then having brands. Like, it's just a lot. Like, I'm still human at the end of the day. My arms can only reach as far as they can reach. Kind of thing.
And I think the thing is, like, it will kind of sound a bit maybe it will sound a bit arrogant, but I think the thing is that brands need, like, in the in the good old days, you know, you would need a brand behind you to get kind of like to get a platform, right? With social media, you don't need that anymore. Like you can do it with or without brand. So I think if you really want to invest in your own self and your own engagement, then I think you don't need a brand behind you. And I think it's better for brands to be able to see talented people and that way. So I think the kind of tables have turned a little bit. So I think it's I think you have to, if you're going to go into that, and even with my education, I do it independently now because I think that therefore I'm not selling anything. You know what I mean? Like I can educate without having to be like, this is what I'm promoting. It's just like, I'm just, you know, like I'm just teaching my kind of jam and whatever. And then with that, I can use what I truly believe in. Like it's not, I'm not being paid to promote something, you know what I mean? Or something's being launched. So therefore I have to kind of plug that. It's,
because it's not being authentic, and it comes across that way as well. If you're just like with a brand because they've signed you and you're getting paid for it, like it comes across like you're just getting paid. When you actually like believe in a brand and you're using it because you're getting the results you want to out of it and all that kind of stuff, like it's definitely going to come across that way for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very interesting how you kind of, but I suppose that also comes with experience and with knowledge and being able to have the kind of confidence to walk away and just be like, to be honest, I didn't have the confidence. Like when I walked away, it was just like, it was a big mental health thing. I was just like, I can't, you know, I don't want to do this. Like I don't believe in what I'm doing anymore. It's just like I need to kind of step away and just reevaluate what I was doing and just be like, because I think I would always tell myself I'm only as good as the brands that I'm working with, or I'm only as good as the salon that I'm working for. So you're having this conversation and then you're just like, you put this amazing amount of pressure on yourself. And then deep down, I was like, I wasn't happy. I was just like, the pressure was actually getting more. And I was just like, you know what, I just need to kind of do my own thing. I need to go and kind of like do what kind of fuels me creatively. So, I think it's hard to do it, but I think, you know, I'm sure you're the same. There's no regrets when you kind of make that decision to start following what you kind of like, what you want to do, what fuels you.
For sure. Because like before PulpRiot, I was with I'm gonna say it, I still love the color, but you know, I was with Swatchcraft beforehand and I was like working my fucking tits off, you know, and I wasn't getting anywhere. I mean, like, not that that's the whole game and, you know, blah blah blah, but you know, when you're still like trying to represent a brand and they fucking don't scratch your back when you're scratching theirs, it pisses you off and it's very demotivating. 100%.
And I think sometimes with brands, the kind of like bigger they are, the more pressure there is, and I don't know. There's so many color companies out there now. There's so many product companies out there now that I think, I think that there's something for everybody. And I think, like I say, with social media now and being able to have kind of your platform, I mean, there's so many of these young up and coming hairdressers that are actually just like doing amazing things without anything behind them. Do you know what I mean? They're just kind of doing what they love and they're doing it really well. And I think that the industry as a whole is changing in that degree. So I think it's exciting.
For sure. Yeah, it is. I really do like the way that the industry is changing. It's a lot more it's a lot more like accepting, I guess.
Yeah, and I think this is, you know, and we had this kind of like freelance conversation as well, and we were discussing it with you know, Laura and I jumped on because we were kind of there was a bit of a conversation about freelance is ruining the industry and what about the apprentices and, you know, all this kind of talk about it being a negative thing. And I mean, of course, I think for big salons, I think it's going to be a real worry that they won't be able to get any staff. I mean, especially with immigration and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I think with apprentices, I mean, it's always been a struggle to get apprentices anyway. So now, I mean, these salons can get great young staff because there's going to be a lot of people doing their own thing that aren't going to use apprentices. So I don't know. I think you have to be, this industry will always evolve. Like there's always going to be, you know, people that dug their heels in about social media and they didn't want to do it and all that kind of stuff, the people are resistant to change, and especially with COVID and everything that's going on, anybody that resists that change, whatever it is kind of going to get a bit stuck behind, because clients want to see it, like, I know for one, my clients love the one-on-one attention, like they love that kind of
they don't like the kind of like
elevated
sushi
service.
train.
Yeah.
When it like just everyone gets passed along.
Yeah.
I did have that a lot when I was working in a big salon in Brisbane, and I was just like, I hate the fact that I just get like, you put my color on, then someone else rinses it, then someone else tones it, then someone's blow drying, then someone's cutting, and blah blah blah. Like they don't like that, and I don't like that. So that's
I know,
that's
it's
why
very
I went
hard
freelance.
to kind of, I mean, it's much better to kind of get the be able to get the control back, and especially now with there being so much skill in the toning or the prepping the hair, you know what I mean? Like clients are stressed, like clients are anxious now anyway because of everything that's going on in the world. So everybody's running around and being like under pressure. So to take that a little bit away and make them feel at ease when they are in the chair, I think I think that's what I mean, my clients are definitely loving it. But yeah, I think that there will be a kind of shift in the industry, and I don't think even in the salon that I was working in, it was definitely changing how they work, because it has to.
Yeah. So your chat that you had with Laura, and I did see you sharing it last night. There was like a 3-part series, wasn't there?
Well, so it was all done. We did it in one, but Michael broke it down into 3, and so it went for like 2.5 hours, because we also we had Mia from the Fox and Hair, we had David Manna, we had Maria Unali, because we wanted to get a broad spectrum of different salon owners, industry leaders, you know what I mean, like freelancers. We wanted to get a diverse group of things, because honestly, I think you always want to have 2 sides of the story. You don't ever want to be, we didn't want it to be a rebuttal of us being like, well, we're freelancers because like salons are shit, because that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like we can only talk from our experience. So to get other people's perspective, I mean, it went for hours, but I think there were some really valid points, and I think we got some really good response from it. And I think people needed to kind of hear about it. And, we probably could have, Laura said that we could have probably opened it up to more, but I think that I think that will evolve, and I think there will be more conversations about it, but I don't want to be like pro freelancer. I don't want to be that kind of, I'm only talking about because there are definitely negative aspects of freelance as well.
What do you think they are?
I just think you have to do everything yourself. You have to be accessible all all to your clients. You have to be a business person. You're never off duty. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Sometimes you just want to go in and do hair. You don't want to have to do appointments. You don't want to have to do invoicing. You don't want to have to do ordering. You don't. And it's. Everybody's like, oh, you're doing 4 days, like how nice. And I'm just like, well, actually, I'm probably doing 7, because there's always an appointment response, or there's always like stock to be ordered, or there's always bills to be paid. So it's like, I'm working harder than, well, not at the moment, but like,
I was watching Shark Tank. I was watching Shark Tank the other night, and she was just like, you've gone for like, self-employed to work like 90 hours a week. Like you're wanting to work like 20 hours or 40 hours, 20 hours a week, but you're actually working like 90. And I'm like, also, holy shit. Yeah, it's true.
There's that pressure on yourself as well you're always worried about like, if you have a couple of cancellations that week, it's all on you. It's always like it all impacts you directly. So you always have that kind of anxiety about, and obviously working within Salon Lane, everybody's kind of in the same boat. So they're just like, there's not one week that goes past that one person isn't being like, oh, I'm having a really quiet week. Like, how's your week? Because you're worried about it. You know what I mean? Like and that's a great thing, is that there's still that sense of network there, so we can all support each other. But it's not easy, and especially if you haven't got a clientele, like building up a clientele, going freelance and all that kind of stuff. It's very, I don't know, it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. So I always say that I think it's harder to, I just think you've also got to be at a point where you're really confident in your skill set as well, because if you're not, and you're on your own and you've got nobody to kind of reassure you, like in a salon environment, when you're kind of like growing, you've got people to be like, oh, that's fine, you know what I mean? Like, whereas if you're rinsing it yourself and looking at it and you're not confident in there's that stress as well. Like, it's very, so yeah, I think there's a lot of pros and cons. And I think everybody has this romantic idea of, you're going to be freelance, you're going to work whatever hours you want, you're going to make all of the money. And I don't think people realize how much stock costs, how much booking systems costs, how much like accounting costs, all of this stuff that you've got to pay for, you know what I mean? Like, everyone just thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to charge $300 for a color and that's going to be in my pocket. And it's like, well, you got $100 of that going to stock before you've even started, you know?
I mean, I've been in the self-employed, like, freelancing industry for probably like 6 years now. And I'm still only just getting a handle on like finance and stuff. It didn't help that I moved to a whole other country as well, mid doing that. But coming back to Australia, I've kind of like obliviously realized that Australian freelancing industry isn't that big. Like, it's quite large in like other countries and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, especially in the US, I mean, it's really the only way to work is most people are booth renters in the US, and in the UK now. I mean, even the UK was pretty slow on the uptake. But like, definitely, I think probably since I left, so I'd say maybe like 7-8 years ago, I think that freelancing has kind of taken off there. And I think it's just the pressure of the industry isn't what it was, you know what I mean? Like, the industry wasn't where it would just be like, put a set of bleach highlights in, rinse them, do a silver shampoo, do a blow dry, send them out, you know? Like, there's a lot more pressure, there's a lot more skill
it's so
involved.
much more bespoke now rather than what it was before, you know? Like, you're not just doing like a half head of foils and like you said, like chucking on a toner and that's it. Like, you're doing this like face framing, perfect balayage to like a tailored toner, and then it's just so much more work. But do you find like a lot of clients, just because it seems to be such a norm now, do you find like a lot of clients just expect that for the same price as what they will charge for half of the foils?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that. I think clients have got to see value in it, right? So like, if they're not seeing the difference
between them too.
Yeah, I think if clients aren't seeing a difference between just having a half head of foils, or if you're talking to them about, if they don't see a difference, or you're talking to them about doing a zone tone, or you're going to do a little bit of base and balayage, or you're doing all of this, I think if they see value in it, then they don't question the price. I mean, for me, it also depends on where I don't justify is that okay that I'm going to charge you that much? I'll be like, this is how much is, to be honest, I don't really talk price to my clients.
Really?
No, I don't, because a lot of mine are existing clients that I've been looking after for a few years. I mean, I don't really take on any new clients. Unless they're like, rarely if I get a recommendation from a regular client. And I think if I do get a recommendation, then 9 times out of 10, they're probably aware of my price point. So yeah, I mean, very rarely I'll give a quote to a client, but I talk about their desires, or like what they want, rather than a price point.
Yeah, true. Always. Oh my gosh. But even if you try and like give them like a rough guide of what's going on, like I've got it on my Booksy, my booking app, this is how much for each thing, but it should just be more of, do you want this kind of look, that kind of look, and then it's tailored to what needs to be done to get there, basically. It's hard to try and like educate your client on how to do that.
Yeah, I don't have online booking. Like, I swapped that off because it was actually more stressful than what it was worth. And on my website, I have my pricing and stuff like that, so people can go on, and if they want to see my pricing, they can see it. I'm not like hiding it, but like, it's just not a factor into my consultation. I feel like I'm always talking. They're normally coming to me because they want to fix something, or they want to change something. So I talk about how we're going to get there, and like the steps that it's going to take. But also, I mean, I am very, even with my truths and all that kind of stuff, I'm very honest with my clients in a consultation, to the point where we used to get apprentices and come and watch my consultations, because I'm to the point where if they come to me and they have really unrealistic expectations, I'm not gonna be one of these people that is like, okay, yeah, sure, we're gonna get you platinum blonde. If their hair can't take it, I'm gonna be like, it's not going to happen. Like, because
Yeah.
you build trust with your clients rather than being like, oh my God, yes, of course. I'm going to be like, actually, your hair's not in any condition to get you anywhere near that. Like, you might be one shade lighter in 6 to 12 months, but you're not going to be platinum blonde anytime soon, because it's like, I think that's what builds a loyal clientele. And I'm quite happy for clients to be like, okay, well, I'll go and try and find someone that will, because, you know, I think if you ever doubt yourself or you ever doubt the result, 9 times out of 10, that's when you will get that client that's not happy, because you'll be like, you'll be trying to deliver something that you know deep down isn't possible.
Yeah, and it's finding that confidence in yourself as well, and like it's more like experience of how to approach stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how did you find the confidence just to say this is how it is and that's how it is and blah blah blah? How did you find that confidence too? Because I know a lot of stylists really struggle with that, and when it comes to the price and how much it does actually cost, they kind of like shit themselves a little bit and go, oh fuck, that's too much, like I wouldn't pay that, and freak out.
100%. And I think hairdressers are really bad at emotional charging, being like, oh my God, that person has just told me that they've got like a really high phone bill, or, you know, like we justify charging them. You've just got to believe, like, I think it all comes down from when I wasn't honest with clients, when I would try and give them something that I knew wasn't achievable, I would always be disappointed. They would always be disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, so I think you've got to be completely like, give them, it's not about just saying no as well. I think it's always about being like, this is why. Give them the why that it can't happen. Give them the why of why it's going to be an extra $100. Like, as long as you're giving them the truth, as long as you're being like, you know, that's not just a half head of foils and an all over toner. We're going to have to do a half head of foils. We're going to have to do a little bit of base and balayage. We're going to have to drop your roots down, and then we're going to, you know, like, and I think if you tell them that and you tell them the amount of work that's done, then they see the value in it. Whereas if you're just being like, nah, sorry, like, I'm not going to do that for you. I think as long as you're, you know, and say to them, oh, we're going to have to do a big job this time, and we're going to have to like clean out some of your ends, but then next time you'll just need a part line of foils or whatever. Like, as long
it's
as
like
you
explaining the journey that they have to go with, rather than just saying this is how much it's going to be. Like, plan ahead, and that's also planting the seed as well, don't you find? Like, you're just saying like, oh, I'm not just thinking of now, I'm thinking of like, you know, 6 months time. So you're there already thinking, oh my God, they're going to take care of me. Like,
and also I think you've got to think about, and quite often I'll be like, if clients' hair is trashed or whatever, I'll be like, okay, what we're going to do is we'll do as little as possible today. Like, we'll dip our toe in. We're going to give you like all of the hair care. You're going to come back in 8 weeks and we'll do a bigger job, because that way you're probably preparing them as well that they're going to have to pay a little bit more, or it's going to be a longer appointment. Because also, I hate time restraints. Like, so many clients these days are like, I need to be out in like 2.5 hours. And I'm just like, so I'd rather do a little amount, charge them less that time, and then be like, next time you're going to be in here 4 hours. Like, you need to allow more time. It's going to be a bigger job, because also don't put yourself under a time pressure as well. If it's a new client and you don't have that time available, just be like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then next time we can actually get you closer to your goal, but you need to work on the condition. You need to, you know, you need to give me the time to do it. I think just having the confidence is, you know, like, I don't think it should be uncomfortable to be able to tell your clients no, but I also think that you should give them an alternative. I don't think if you're slamming them down and just being like, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have this, you're just gonna come up closed doors and you're gonna meet resistance. I think if you just go, okay, well, how about we give you an alternative, or talk to them about suitability. Like, so many of my clients that are just like, I want to be really blonde, and I'm just like, okay, it's not necessarily going to suit you. And like, if you don't wear makeup, if you don't do this, like, you're taking away all of the color from your hair, and you're fair skinned or whatever, you're going to have no color. Like, so I think I suppose it's down to experience. I mean, you know, it probably took me quite a long time for it to be second nature to me to talk to my clients about makeup and lifestyle, and, you know,
it's a
like,
whole look.
And
it's not
also
just
what
your
they're
hair.
doing to their hair. It's like, what are you doing to your hair? Because it's not growing. And I quite often talk to clients about density, and, you know, I'll hold their hair out and I'll be like, look, you're losing, you know, probably 2/3 of your density through the last third of your hair. I'm just like, that's breakage, that's wear and tear. I'm like, we need to, especially when everybody wants all of this balayage and they've got, you know, 3 hairs on the end of their head, and I'm just like, but you don't have the hair there for me to get that.
Yeah.
Like, so
yeah, they
and
wanted
you
to
explain that
bleach
to
out the
them.
most sensitized part of their hair.
Yeah,
And it's like,
the
not
last 3
everyone
hairs
can
that
get
they
it. Yeah.
no,
Hanging
I'm
on for
just
dear
like,
life.
no. No, so yeah, I think it's just looking at it and explaining to, like, giving them visuals. I don't know. I think
Pictures are
clients are,
huge. Pictures are huge when
yeah,
it comes to consultation. Yeah.
and I think clients are also open to being spoken to about it as well, because I think that everybody has this fear that clients are coming in with their expectation. Really, all clients are doing it, looking at a pretty picture, and they're bringing it into you. They don't know how that relates to their hair. So if you turn around and be like,
Yeah.
okay, so what do you like about this picture? Let's break it down. They're like, and 9 times
Okay.
out of
So do you
10,
always do like a breakdown in consultation?
well, I'll just be like, what do you, because quite often clients will bring in 5 pictures and there'll be 5 completely different pictures of
Completely
like,
different.
of really hot girls in their 20s, and they're like, you know, and I'm just like, okay, well, you've given me 5 different references. So like, which one is your favorite? Okay, this
Yeah.
one. What do you like about that one? And it's like, you know, and because also if you're giving me 5 different pictures with 5 different references, if you take it away from one picture, then they don't have that. Because if you're just focusing on one picture, they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna look like that. You know what I mean? Like, whereas if you mix
100%.
it up,
Yeah.
and then they're just like, there's not that, you're never gonna recreate an image. Like, and if you do, like,
Never.
you're a better colorist than I am, because it's like, you know, it's, you're never going to create it. So I think if you give them a few different images and be like, okay, well, we'll take that from that, it's almost like you're creating something completely, like you say, bespoke and tailored to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just open up the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell all of my clients to bring like just as many photos as you can, because you can usually always see like some sort of like relation between them, and you can kind of like mash them all together. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely having the confidence to just to be assertive in consultations as well,
Yeah.
for sure.
I love it when they bring in pictures of their wedding day, though, when they're like, you know, they had no grey hairs, or, you know, they were like 30 years younger, and they'll bring it in. And they're just like, I really like my hair color here. And I'm like, it was natural. Like,
Oh my God, yeah, yeah,
you
and
got
you're
to
trying to
work with me
recreate
here. I
it.
can't, yeah. I'm like,
Okay, so you have created some pretty fucking awesome hair in your time, right? Some photo shoots, competition entries. What has been your favorite?
image or show?
Both. Let's go both.
So I don't know. Images change all the time because like I get kind of bored. There's a couple of images. So obviously that little pastel number that is just been put all over the little pastel bob.
Congratulations about that. Top
Thank you.
25, one shot. It's
I
fucking
know, I couldn't
awesome.
believe it. It was kind of like, it kind of all happened at the end of before we locked down last time. So I just, yeah, I was just piss assing around on hair. So that kind of, all the stars aligned on that one. That was fun.
Wow, yeah.
But my on to Lula, I really like all of the looks that we've done on her. So she's the girl that's on quite a lot of my Instagram. She's got long, really long hair, and I've done like orange and yellow, and like done all of the. Actually, I might have deleted them all. But like she's got. I always have fun doing her. And then my favorite show, I think, was when I did the
This
international. Oh
girl?
no, no, that's Alika, but
Another
she's
one.
amazing. She's
That's
I think
amazing too.
I deleted a lot of Tallulah's. She's because she was I deleted a lot of my Instagram when I but she'll be in my tagged posts.
Okay.
So yeah, the show that I probably enjoyed the most was International Trend Vision in New York. We did a big show there, and there was like, it was just amazing. Like, it snowed really early, and then it was just this big amazing event, and like all these, like all the people from Asia that had never seen snow before, and they're all rolling around in the snow outside. And then we did like, we were up at 3 a.m. prepping the models because we were the first show on, and it was just like, it was one of those that you just can't really forget. And then
Yeah.
Fashion Week, probably either Margiela or Vivienne Westwood are both, like, because I love that kind of messed up kind of, you know,
Oh my
quirky stuff.
gosh.
So yeah.
Wow. So do you feel like session styling is a huge passion of yours?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really, I don't I love watching, like, I love creating, and I love being, I love Fashion Week and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really, I love doing editorial work assisting. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily an editorial stylist, but I like that fast pace. I like the kind of, you know, having to dip a wig in a bowl of bleach and do like a color change, like super quick. And I love the kind of like, there's nothing hairdressery, you know what I mean, like about it. It's just all,
Yeah.
everybody's there to kind of like create an image, and it's very different to salon work. And I think that's probably where I learned a lot of my kind of like creativity, because like, and I remember I worked for Darren Ambrose in the UK, and I remember he just used to be like, just rub some bleach in it, or just like, or just do this. And I was always very technical and being like, no, like I didn't train all this time to like rub some bleach in. And then when I kind of started doing,
I'm like that too.
yeah, but then when I started doing shoots and stuff, like I remember doing a shoot for, again, it was Weller Vision in Germany, and we colored this wig, and
Amazing.
it was kind of like your hair, so it was like dark and like emerald green, this kind of like tealy sort of color. And then I remember at like 11:30 at night, we were supposed to be shooting the look the next day, and they were just like, it's too like, it's too gothic. We want it to be a bit more like a bit more like grungy beauty. And I was like, okay, so like literally we changed it, we turned it around in about 20 minutes. We just dumped it in a load of bleach and then put like a grey color over it. It was great. But yeah, I think you just have to, even when I was in Morocco the year before last with doing Trend Vision as well, like we were up on the top of the Atlas Mountains, like having to get this shot, and we had to like just refresh the model's purple, and we had no hair and makeup trailer because we were up the side of a mountain. So we were like literally there with like bottles of water and like hand soap and stuff, like washing the, I'll send you the video, it's insane. But yeah, you just have to be adaptable, and I think I love that.
Oh, I love that shit too. Like thinking on the ball. I love it.
Yeah, you just got to get on with it, right? Like if it's not right, you've just got to fix it. And I'm the same with clients as well. If I sit them back in the seat and they're just like, oh, like, you know, it's a bit too pink or it's a bit like that, I'm just like, just come through, like, just get rid of it, you know, like it's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
It's not the end of the world, really, isn't it? It's not like you just
and
shave someone's head off and be like, oh, fuck, I actually need long hair.
yeah, and you can tell, you know what I mean? You can tell, you'll sit your client down and she'll be like, looking at herself in the mirror, and I'm like, what? Like, you know, but you don't like it. And they're just like, and I'm like, just come over, like we'll fix it. You know, like, I don't know. I'd much rather my clients that just love their hair rather than sitting there being like, and you know, like, you know, hairdressers that are just like, oh, just like, you'll love it in like 4 washes. I'm like, no, like, just like get rid of it now. Like,
exactly.
You know,
yeah.
You will love it even more in 4 washes, but yeah, exactly. I'm just like, oh yeah. More lies that hairdressers tell clients.
Yeah, I know, right? It's fucking endless. And then hearing back at it, I'm like, I just don't know how people let them leave the salon looking like that. I'm like, that just fucking, I wouldn't be able to sleep, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't happy with something, I just wouldn't be able to fucking sleep. Make me sick.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I used to share when I was working in a salon in Brisbane, and sometimes occasionally I'd have to share with a colorist or cutters, whatever, because I do both. And I just fucking hate it. Like it's hard enough for a client to get across what they want to one person, let alone getting across to 2. And I just get so annoyed because either if I'm doing a haircut, they've colored it wrong for the haircut, or if I'm doing the color, they've cut it wrong to the color. And I'm like, it just pisses me off.
Yeah. See, I'm like, I love finishing my colors on the day. Like I love styling them, but I also love, I love collaborating with people. I've got so many people in Sydney that I love how they cut hair, and I will always kind of recommend them to the clients that I know will suit them and their haircut. And I love doing that. But on the day, I'm just like, I love finishing them and just being like, oh yeah. So yeah, I love collaboration, but I'm also a bit selfish when it comes to finishing off my colors a certain way.
I mean, if it's for a photo shoot or like, you know, something like a stage show or something like that, then yes, I'm all that collabs or education, whatever. But if it's for a client, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm way too selfish.
No, and I think a lot of people are like that, and I think it makes total sense. I think it does.
A few questions from IG when I post into my Instagram stories.
Yeah.
What do you think is the hottest hair trends at the moment?
I think kind of block coloring is a thing that we've been seeing for a while, but I think it's kind of being adapted. So actually, I'm going to kind of showcase a bit of it. So it's block coloring, but softened out block coloring. So
Yeah,
reinvented.
cool.
So
All right.
but yeah, you'll kind of, well, actually, this is going to air after my PulpRiot. So
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's block coloring but blurring the lines, so losing the shapes, and
Yeah.
so there's still contrast, but it's a bit more diffused.
Yeah, for sure. Making the block colors and the 90s things look a little bit more expensive than what they did back in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about it, it's all about blurring techniques. If you think about them kind of like 90s stripy highlights, like, yes, you're seeing that come back, but you're seeing a root tap put on them or a melt put on them. So therefore it looks more like a foliage kind of thing. It's about using modern techniques and fusing them with kind of traditional.
For sure. I am
aspects.
Seeing a lot more of the stripy 90s highlights coming back that are true to the 90s trends. What are your thoughts on that?
I think if it's done well, I kind of love it. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that don't do it very well. I think it's like anything. I think if it's kind of like, if it's executed flawlessly, I think it's actually, you can't take away from the skill set in that. Like, and I think there's something very aesthetically pleasing about it, even if it's not a personal taste. But yeah, I think that I think it's got to be done well.
Yeah, my personal opinion, if it's something like that, it looks great on a bob. But if it's on like longer hair, it looks great from here to here. But then it gets to the length and I'm like, it just looks like a muddy mess.
And it gets diffused. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, but that's 100%. And I think we talk about this a lot, and I talk about it a lot as well, is take into consideration hair fall and how your client wears her hair and all of that kind of stuff. I think it's a real unsung hero of, how far you drag your root shadow down or where you place your highlights. I think people don't really think about, it's like when people are low lighting hair and they do fine low lights, and then you don't, like, it just diffuses in the hair and then it just looks like a haze of like goldy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't bring any dimension. So I think
or it just makes the overall hair color just look darker, like not actually bringing dimension to it.
No, it just brings it, because a lot of people as well, when they low light, they don't go dark enough. They're just like, oh yeah, I'll put like a 7 or an 8 level low light.
7 or an 8. I was literally so who is the biggest name that you've worked with?
John Galliano. I looked after Paula Abdul when she was here. That was pretty insane. She was like,
Paula Abdul, holy shit.
Yeah, she was hilarious, like absolutely brilliant. I don't know, biggest names I've worked with, I don't know.
A fucking lot. Okay, next one. Oh, how do we book education with you?
You can just DM me on Instagram, or you can email Stuart Bane Color at gmail.com. I will have plenty of time to answer any responses. But there's quite a lot of, I'm doing kind of ticketed events, but I also do in salon education. So you can kind of look on my website as well, stuartbanecolor.com. That has got all of my pricing on there for education as well. So
okay, so 2 last things before we go. Do you have any recommendations or a great tip that you've picked up along the way for the people watching at home?
Yes, always prep before toner. Like, prep the porosity. So I think a big mistake of people is they don't prep the porosity of the hair before they're toning, and then they don't. And also, like, check for your toner when you've rinsed. And also just porosity is king. And I can't say this enough, is that quite a lot of people don't allow for porosity. So even if you've got an even canvas, so say that you've got a perfect 9 level roots to tips, if you're putting like a 9.2 on that, porosity is going to take into consideration, so it might not take evenly. So I think when you're coloring hair, bear in mind porosity. So either add some clear or add some gold or into your ends, because
I was about to say, what do you think is the best way to even out the porosity? But adding some gold.
So I think as long as you've kind of like, I use K18, so I tone on top of K18, so I feel like that balances out.
Well, now I do too.
I know, how good is it?
Oh my god, it's amazing.
How good is it? I know. So I balance, so that kind of like helps that the toner doesn't take crazy. But yeah, I would always add in like a drop of gold or even a drop of clear for the ends, just so to allow for that, because I think they're always gonna
Into the mix or like separate?
So I'd do the roots, and then I'd probably just add in, like, even if it was like 5 grams of clear or 5 grams of 9-3 or something into the ends.
That's a great tip. Great
Yeah,
tip.
because I think
Thanks for
it's
sharing
always
that.
gonna. I think it's always, and so many people are just be like, oh, my toner always like looks dull on the ends, and nobody wants. You'd rather that the roots are a little bit like cooler and stuff, especially because of the head shape and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think people don't take into consideration the pros too.
that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's amazing.
You're so
Cool.
welcome.
Yeah. Okay, and lastly, where can people find you?
So you can find me on all avenues at Stuart Bane Colour. So it's Instagram, my website, Facebook, anything. And like I say, any education or also like any struggles, like I really am accessible. So in terms of, even if you are wherever you are, you can always DM me and ask me any advice. Like I've worked with various brands and stuff like that. So even if it's like career wise or any color struggles that you have, any formulations, anything, like hit me up on Instagram. I'm more than happy to connect.
I will. I will.
We always connect. We're always messaging each other.
I know.
That's what we
It's
love.
great. I love it.
It's like you're not in far northern Queensland. No one ever knew.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the chat. It's been amazing.
I
It's been
know, it
amazing.
flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. And I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, you sure will. Bye, love.
Bye. Oh my God. Isn't he amazing? Like, so humble. Holy shit. Just like name drop after name drop. Losing it. Whew. I fucking love that. Every minute of it. I hope you have a breather. That went so well. I had so many questions to ask, but we covered all of them, but we just kept going and it was organic. Oh, it was amazing. Oh, well, let me know if you guys love that as much as I did, clearly. Oh my God. Don't forget to give this all a follow and like and subscribe to my YouTube. We'll see you next time. Drop in the comments as well who you think we should have on the show next. All right. Thanks, guys. Mwah.
I'm a OG boy. Know that they ride or die.